just by making that change, they saved $5,000 per year. And now they're in control of what the patients actually can see. So now we're marketing ancillary services and cross promoting, and we're using it as a marketing vehicle. Plus, we saved them all this money.
Yeah, that sounds like a win-win.
It is. And the CEO says this is the best thing we ever did. Hey there, welcome to the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. I am Jennifer.
And I'm Corey.
And today we're going to talk about another way that you can save some money for your medical practice in 2026, or honestly, anytime. And you can do some great marketing at the same time to your patients.
Yeah, so if you're looking to cut expenses going into the new year, or you're just looking to cut expenses, one thing that you can definitely do is take a look at what you're actually displaying in your lobbies to patients. So today what we're going to talk about is a case study where we actually rolled out a new solution for a practice, and we'll explain how much they're saving and what this actually entails. And then we'll provide some samples and some ideas and some of the things that maybe you could do if you want to revamp your lobby videos moving forward.
Yeah, and we say lobby videos loosely, like as if every practice out there is doing a lobby video. But the fact is like you have patients that are sitting in your waiting room or sitting in whatever room, kind of waiting on the doctors or waiting to get processed. And most of the time there's a TV somewhere. And, what we found is, there's kind of one of two ways that you're going to do it. Most practices, if they have a television, are running like local cable. And sometimes the more advanced practices are running what we refer to as like a lobby loop. And we had a client who came to us, and they have 10 offices. They're a large ortho client. They have 10 offices, and they were doing like the old fashioned way of running, not old fashioned, but they were taking the route of cable. And it was infuriating when the CEO and the doctors would go through and they would have like trash TV on, and it would be loud, or the news, and it would repeat. And, I don't know that patients paid attention to it as much, but like the front desk people would be annoyed because the news was recycling, or like somebody would choose like something that maybe wasn't quite appropriate. And so we started talking about like, okay, well, if we wanted to run a lobby loop in all of the offices, what would that look like? How much, like, what would be the lift, like in terms of keeping it updated? And then what would we want to put on it? And so that's kind of like this case study. So we have 10 offices. They were running roughly $80 a month, maybe a little more, maybe a little less for cable, which was about $800 a month total across all their offices for their TVs. So roughly they're looking at about 10 grand. So 9,600 annually in order to have cable TV. Content was generic, like it was whoever felt like whatever channel they were going to put it on. I mean, it could be Jerry Springer 1 minute. It could be, the Fox News the other. We don't know what our patients are seeing. Like, we're not taking advantage of it from a marketing standpoint. So we came to them and we said, look, we have this managed system that we can set up. And in fact, we've started with a vendor who was a little bit higher, and then we reversed engineered it recently to do it more in-house to make it even more affordable. But let's say for the purposes of this case study, so we go to them with this new system, and we said, look, if we do this, we're going to pay $375 per office per year. That's going to get us the software to run this. We're going to need to buy like a Fire Stick or something. And then what we're going to do is, as your marketing team, we can remotely control what's going on your TVs. So it ended up being $375 per office to get them started. $50 per TV because we have to buy the software. And then there was the one-time hardware cost of about $25 per TV. So all in, they were under $500 per year for each office. And what it ended up being from a cost saving standpoint is that their cost dropped from $9,600 for cable to roughly $4,700, give or take, like under $5,000. So just by making that change, they saved $5,000 per year. And now they're in control of what the patients actually can see. So now we're marketing ancillary services and cross promoting, and we're using it as a marketing vehicle. Plus, we saved them all this money.
Yeah, that sounds like a win-win.
It is. And the CEO says this is the best thing we ever did.
Yeah, and I totally understand why, because it's immediate cost savings. You can see that on the bottom line, and we're able to kind of like you mentioned. So I think there's two things there. One, we can control the message, which is great because then we can talk about whether it's a social media feed or if we're highlighting a position or maybe there's a new location that just opened, new ancillary service, whatever. We can control those things. It's just another way to kind of get some news about the practice out there to a captive audience. But I think, the other benefit of it is you mentioned, it's in the past, it was kind of up to that particular office, what was running. And, there was some rules around that, but also if the front desk felt like it, they could change from home and garden to the view or, whatever they wanted to watch at the time. And that just like I remember one time I walked into a vascular practice and I think they had SpongeBob on,
Uh-huh.
which, maybe there was a kid there or something. But my point in that is saying like it reflects on the office, whatever's on the TV. And so by doing this, you're able to kind of control that message a little bit. So I think that's a positive as well.
Yeah, and I think that what kind of gave me the idea of like maybe we should talk about this a little bit more on the show is that um we had a client yesterday who I was looking at the tasks that came in and they were saying we want to do something for our lobby TVs. And I think you shared like we have a video day scheduled. We're going to go do a bunch of videos with the doctors.
Mhm.
And their kind of thing was like, we want to do this, but it'll take us a while to get the videos done. It's a lift, it's everything else. So do we have any ideas like outside of just videos running that we could do it for the here and now that we can make this happen quick? And that kind of led to the same practice that switched over. We used to run lobby videos with a bunch of videos like patient testimonials, doctor videos, things like that. But the reality is we've already got these patients, right? And the CEO was like, these patients don't need to know about how great our practice is or how great, like how this patient like said they had a good experience. He's like, I need to push ancillaries and I need them to know that they don't have to go to another practice down the road for MRIs. So we went from something that was really high tech to something that's really truly a marketing piece that we can cross promote what's happening in the practice to patients. And by the way, patients don't sit there that long. So where our lobby videos started as like, a 2-hour loop, so we didn't have to worry about it. They're now like a 20-minute loop because the reality is our patients aren't sitting in the lobbies that long. And so like, there's just such a great opportunity for marketing. And it doesn't have to cost a lot.
Yeah, I think that those are kind of the two key takeaways for me is that it is a significant savings and it's a great opportunity for marketing because you really, when you kind of zoom out and look at this, really what we're talking about is a looping slide deck, more or less. You
Uh-huh.
don't need, you can have animation on it if you want, but you don't need it. You can have sound on it if you want, but you don't need it. And the less moving parts you have, the less likely it is to break, which is great. And so it can be super simple. It can be, 10, 15, 20 minutes and it's updated, like we said, as new ancillary services come on or new locations open, whatever you want to do there. Um, and the thing to remember is, you know, you may get some feedback from the staff because they're going to be watching the same thing over and over again.
Deal with.
Um, right. But the patients don't know that. And the patients are the ones that are keeping the lights on. So,
That's
you know,
right.
yeah.
So I think the point's made. So let's give some real tactical ideas. Let's assume that we're not going to do video because video is a big lift. I think videos are great, and I'm a big proponent of video. But let's throw out some ideas on what somebody might actually put together in their lobby loop. Let's start with you, Corey. You go first. We'll go back and forth.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think, one of the things to do is promote any ancillary services. So we kind of talked about that, but, let's say you're an ortho practice, you could probably talk about your PT department, your OT department, X-rays, MRIs, DME, anything that's going on there. Just pick your specialty. There's always some type of ancillary service that can be promoted there. Okay, I'll stop there because you wanted to go back and forth. Okay.
Yeah. So another one, our creative director Justice put together, and I thought it was great. is he said, you don't have to always have it be about the practice. If they're sitting there, it can be, but it doesn't have to be. So like he put together some samples of like drone footage out of stock footage, where like it's like a golf course and it's a drone footage of the golf course, and then he put like some like waiting room type music behind it, so that's actually got sound. And then he would pop up things like the doctor's bio cards. Like, so if you stick with ortho, he would do golf course and then put a doctor up for like a spine surgeon and be like somebody doing a golf swing. And it was like really subtle. And then he would market the fact that they do spine and hip, and he would overlay it. And it was super simple, didn't require any video footage. It was stock, but it also like gave you that like chill spa type of environment. And it wasn't just like straight in your face marketing. It was just like soothing marketing that could be 30 seconds that somebody would pop in there to look at.
And I would say, I love that idea. One thing that can also be done with it that we were talking about is, instead of stock footage, if you have it or can find it, is using footage of the community. Because again, if you want to, sort of subliminally say, hey, we are a part of this community, show footage of a local lake or fountain or park or whatever, because that just sort of creates that connection of like, we're part of the fabric of this, and we're not, necessarily like a big corporate hospital, as an example. And then to that end, another idea would be, share these community involvement posts. So if you are taking photos when you're doing a 5K with the team, or you're sponsoring a local, I don't know, youth soccer league or whatever, those are great things for the lobby video too, again, because it just sort of ingrains the fact that you are a part of the community, and that's an easy thing. You've already got those assets, so use them here.
Well, I would even go further to say, like, we're trying to like keep costs down, but also like keep like the amount of work that you have to put into this down. You can do a plug-in to the software and run your social feed. So I'm not saying don't put video in there, because if you have video on your social feed, it'll pop up. So if your social feed is current, it's easy to put it in there so people can kind of see what's on social. And it also encourages folks to follow. So another idea that I love that we've done before is trivia. It could be trivia about your specialty. It could be trivia about your doctors, where people are sitting there and they're like, which doctor played the flute in high school?
Mm-hmm.
And, it's just kind of a fun thing. It could be pop culture trivia, but that's an easy enough thing to do. And it really encourages engagement from a patient side. Plus it helps you educate.
100%.
Yeah.
I like the idea too of, like one of the challenges that I think a lot of practices face, and we always hear about, is patient comes in, let's say it's an ENT practice. They're coming in because they've got an earache. So they are not paying attention to all of the other otolaryngology services that you offer. They know that they have an earache. They want to get that fixed. So they're, they got tunnel vision. So a lobby video is a great way to say, hey, did you know that we can also help with your hearing, or with your, your throat issues or whatever? And just have a full list of what you're doing, because, you've got a captive audience. That patient hopefully is going to leave with a positive experience. And then if we're also telling them, hey, you can come back for all these other things, they're going to connect those dots, and maybe on the way out, as they're checking out or whatever, they're going to say, oh, I also wanted to find out if I can book for blank. So captive audience, easy to take advantage of.
And if you're a practice that has like an upsell or something, so like, I think, again, you can use it for education, but you can be like, if you're an ophthalmology practice and you're coming in for cataract surgery, or you're coming in for like a cataract consult or a LASIK consult, you can be like, ask your doctor about the difference, like about upgrading your lens, because those are areas where the practice is going to make good money. But, doctors and nurses don't necessarily want to be salespeople, but you can do like the soft sell to get them to ask the question. So you could, like, at the lens thing, you could literally explain the difference between the lenses, like with a, good, better, best. And then the push is ask your provider, Like when you go into your appointment, ask about this. Like we got a practice that's doing low dose radiation therapy now for joint pain. And it's a new thing, and it's a great business for the client, because it's Medicare covers it and most insurance covers it. And then they already had the X-ray machines and the radiology equipment. And so, but the doctors aren't going to say like, hey, you want to spend some money on this thing? So like we're trying to educate the patients in the lobbies who are there for their appointment. Ask your doctor about, LDRT. And so it's just such an easy way to encourage that potential sale or that conversation.
Yeah. And another thing I think that kind of is related to that, but you can also use is, let's say you've got a surgery center that's part of your group. Talk about the outcomes there and the quality scores to do a couple of things. One, that kind of reinforces trust. Two, it sort of creates a connection that, hey, if you have to have surgery, you're going to want to do it here. So again, it's kind of like the soft sales to say, here's what's different about us. Everyone that works in that surgery center, all they do is orthopedics, as an example. So here's our fall rates, here's our infection rates, blah, blah, blah. So again, that's an easy way to say, here's the difference between us and a competitor down the street or a giant health system or, whatever the case may be. And all you're doing is educating, and you already have those numbers.
Well, and if you want to get really like pushy, all of our independent doctors out there, and you want to differentiate yourself from the hospital and really educate patients, show them the difference of, I don't know, a knee surgery in your surgery center versus the hospital. That's public information. You can start re-educating patients to start having those tough conversations for you on your behalf. Like it's really all the things that you want to market patients, or all the things that you wish you had time to explain. The lobby videos allow you to do that.
Yeah, we're working right now with a handful of ortho practices, and they are all starting to, most of them already have an urgent care or a walk-in. Again, this is a great opportunity to talk about that and promote these other services. Some of them are now starting to do like a 24/7 sort of like text-based, you can get this app or go to this website and then talk to an expert. And if you have an acute injury, this will give you sort of next steps. Again, you have a captive audience, hopefully happy patients. This is a great service that leads to more appointments. And even if it's not for the people that are in that room, just as they're sitting there and they watch this, there's a good chance that they're going to go tell somebody about it. And like you said, it's a great way to just explain what's new at the practice and not really be a kind of pushy salesperson while you're doing it.
That's right. So I got one more, and then we'll wrap it up. So one thing that I hear about from docs all the time when we're talking about like marketing inside of patient rooms is they will say, especially if they're like a multi-specialty or like a specialty that has like subspecialties under it, they will say like, well, they came in for a pediatric consult, but they don't realize, that I also do allergy care.
Mm-hmm.
So they came in for their kid's hearing issue, but they don't realize that I also do like sinuplasty. And so those lobby videos are a great way to educate patients on everything you do and not just like the one body part or the one service. And so, rather than have to, get huge brochures and things like that in the patient rooms or have that conversation, this is the place that you can say, look at all the other stuff that we do. You don't have to go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. And one more I just thought of too, and then I'll stop because there's a lot of things you can do
all day.
I think one that is often overlooked is awards. So there's always like an awards season where local magazine says, hey, we're doing a best of whatever city. And then practices want to jump on that, for good reason. And they'll say, okay, so then we'll talk about it on social. We'll get a bunch of votes. Let's say you win that award. So that turns back into a social post. Maybe it's a blog post, and then no one ever talks about it until it's time for the next year. This is a way to say, hey, we won the best of whatever city, and it was 5 years in a row. We're gold in this category or whatever. And again, it's just to sort of reinforce that trust and build that authority. And it's something that you're already doing. So this, again, it's engaging, it's cost effective, you're already putting in the effort. We're just using it in a different way here. And to me, there's no downside.
Yeah. So with that said, just to kind of circle back on the cost savings. So again, this practice went from spending, close to 10,000 to less than 5,000. So their cost savings is roughly $5,000, let's call it. So this happens to be the same practice that we were talking about with the reputation management on a previous episode. I don't know where they'll fall. So this practice alone, from a cost saving standpoint, increasing marketing, increasing output, decreasing cost, we're looking at 24,000 in savings on the reputation management without changing a thing, and 5,000 on the lobby video, which is making it better from a marketing standpoint. So right there, we're looking at a $30,000 single year cost savings just by sharpening up the pencil. So when we're looking at budgets for the next year, or anytime you're doing it, there are better ways to do things. And we all have to be cognizant of, we need to pinch our pennies so that when it's time to spend on things that really matter, then we can put those budgets towards that, like hiring new people, reinvesting back for profit share, whatever it is. There's always a better way. We just have to revisit these things once in a while.
Yeah. And just because it's the way that it was always done doesn't mean that that's the right way or the best way or the way that we have to keep doing it moving forward.
Awesome. All right. With that, I am Jennifer.
Corey.
We'll see you next time on the Dr. Marketing Tips Show. Thanks a bunch.
Bye, guys.
If you want more like this, hit like and subscribe so you'll always be alerted to new episodes when they come out. And if you want information about us, visit us over at insightmg.com. That's insightmg.com. We'll see you on the next episode.